Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got extra special guests on the channel. I've got Heidi and Toby from Crypto Tips. And today's video, I want to run through with them how to basically get as much of the profits back in your own pockets from your crypto profits. And we're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about repatriating, some extreme examples that some people may feel is too extreme, but we're also going to talk about taxes and within your country. And of course, what to do next once you've got your profits. So guys, thank you for jumping on and talking with me today about all of these issues, which are pretty important when it comes to basically scaling out of your investments at some point. So
Thanks for having us, Jason. I think it's really important, and for us too, it's something that we're living. So, we can talk about it as best we can based on our own experience and through our own research of getting to the point where we are right now.
Living, breathing it, you've done it as well. And just to my guys, Heidi, Toby, do you mind telling people where you live now, or is that off the record?
Fine, yeah,
No?
yeah. We live in Portugal, so
Live in Portugal.
which is actually a country that is crypto to crypto tax free. So
it's all crypto tax free if you're an individual.
Yeah. As an individual, you're no taxes for crypto.
They announced that after we decided to live here, which was a happy announcement for us. Yeah. And they've actually clarified that twice, last year and the year before. So far, so good.
Cool.
That's one thing that a lot of people are asking about is like these crypto friendly countries. And it depends on what you determine to be crypto friendly. If you're trying to build or form a cryptocurrency or a cryptocurrency business in a country, you're going to want clarity on regulations. Countries like Portugal might not have that much clarity, but at the moment they're pretty friendly. And that's something I think is important to pay attention to, especially if you are looking to live somewhere that isn't going to be taxing you on your crypto profits. That might be the case now, but it might change later on. It depends on a lot, I think, of the country and kind of how much they want to incentivize people to come there, open businesses, live, be a part of their economy. So it could be crypto-friendly countries like Switzerland or countries that have, again, a lot of kind of regulations that make it clear for people to navigate, rather than somewhere that doesn't have any kind of regulations at all. Could be seen as crypto friendly, but at the same time that could turn around and clamp down and really affect how your business or how your livelihood is affected by that. So it's definitely something to pay attention to.
We'll also talk about briefly, if people don't want to repatriate, we'll just mention a few of those things, because ideally the whole point of the video is we want to go from a lot of people are interested in crypto, but then they want to know how to get out of crypto. And the point we're talking about when it comes to moving countries is to get out of crypto to save as much of that as possible, especially if you're all looking to make $5 million off 5 coins, which is a pretty big SEO topic. But you want to be able to keep as much of that as possible. And most countries are going to tax you a solid 50% of those profits. Just before we move on any further, guys, if you find value from the video, leave us a like down below and go and check out Crypto Tips. I'll have links to Heidi and Toby's channel down below. I've known the guys for quite some time now. They have a surfing image behind them because Toby surfs big waves, and I started talking to him because I surf small waves here on the Gold Coast. He does 60 foot, I do 2 to 3 foot. So that's how we got to know each other and talk quite often from all of that. So a lot of the guys that are watching, they're Australian, American, Canadian, British, some from Southeast Asia. You guys are from the US originally. Just run us through step by step what happened there, and then what it is that you do about taxes now. And then my other part was like cashing out. So setting yourselves up. Two options, if you move or you don't move. Got any experience on that? Yeah.
I mean, Heidi and I have discussed like renouncing for a while. So it was before like crypto really blew up. So like, I mean, when I started crypto, it was in like 2013. So
why were you thinking of renouncing? A lot of people probably don't know.
We never really had plans of living in the US. Like we've been traveling a lot, and Portugal particularly has always felt much more home to me than even the US or my childhood home, which was strange, but I went with it. And being a U.S. citizen, that comes with a lot of red tape of that government. Things like FACTA, FBAR, they all can affect how you can live and like open bank accounts, or if you want to open a business. Having a U.S. citizenship behind you, for many people might find that to be beneficial, but really if you have no plans of living in the U.S., in addition to them taxing your global income, even if you're not living in the U.S., you have to apply or file or pay taxes to the U.S. So it just really didn't make sense for us, and we kind of knew that from the get-go. And for us, it was just kind of waiting for the right timing. And I renounced in February 2019. So luckily for me, that was like during a bear market. So my crypto holdings were pretty low. So that made the process actually pretty easy. It is an extreme situation, but for us, again, it made sense because of where we wanted our life to go. It wasn't so much like we were involuntarily or like, uprooting a life that we'd already had in the US. Sure. It was, we were already pretty much abroad. So just cutting that last tie, really.
And we also knew like where crypto was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we weren't guessing, like we understood, we knew where the potential, and we had enough faith in, Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatever to go, okay, we can get out of the country of the US completely, before we hit like a $2 million mark. So a $2 million mark is when you have to pay an exit tax. You're called a covered expatriate.
Yeah.
And that exit tax is 30%.
Of your total holdings of all your
everything
assets.
You own. So say for instance, you own property.
Even if you've already paid tax on it.
Yeah. It's like you have to pay your final tax, and then you get taxed on everything that you're holding if you're above a certain threshold.
Yeah. So we're like, crap. Okay, we need to get out before we hit 2 million, and we knew we would eventually hit 2 million. And so all right, let's do it before we're covered expats. And it's been really good process for sure.
So we actually talking about things to do with your profits. The bull run from 2017 and the alts of 2018, we saw a lot of profit from that. So we were able to afford a second citizenship by investment. So we pursued that option first, got that second citizenship, and then that's now our primary citizenship, and we cut ties with the US. So like for us, it really timed out really nicely, using the highs and then cutting ties while it was a bear market. So that's definitely a thing that I'm always encouraging people on our channel when we do live streams or whatever, is to have a plan, to think about it. What could your future be? What are the logistics that you need to go through to meet those goals? Because these bull runs in crypto go crazy, and you really, if this is your first time going through a bull run, I mean, not to get too much like FOMO or like hopium, but like really you most of the time you're gonna have to raise your expectations for what this could happen, and just to have like an ultimate plan A or ultimate plan B or whatever, and kind of, so if that situation does come, you can have a plan for it and actually take advantage of it and achieve something really, really great in your life.
In our Patreon group, we tell people, hey, write down what your goals are, and go like, okay, write down your goals, and then write down crazy goals that you like, okay, if I had like crazy amount of money, you might be surprised because like we could have never imagined where we are today. Back in 2000.
It's like we talked about renouncing, but like we had no idea how we'd be able to afford a second citizenship, and then that happened. So we went for it. Like we took advantage of it,
Buying a house in cash.
And because we had that really high goal, it actually worked out. So you never know.
True. So just before we move on too much further, the buying a citizenship, basically you need to buy a property that's worth X amount of dollars, depending on which country you want to purchase a citizenship in, correct?
That's an option. Some of them, some countries just offer the ability to buy a property or open I think a business maybe, mostly property. But there are some that also just allow you to make like a donation to the country, to a fund that they have, and then so you're not investing in property either. You're just pretty much investing in the citizenship itself.
You're giving some money to the government to then take
Yeah,
their
exactly.
citizenship,
I mean,
to
The
get a
hurricane
passport.
relief fund.
Yeah, that's what it was. So we had the choice to whether we do 150K for just a donation, or like 400,000
Yeah, for the
for a
property.
overpriced property, which I
Yeah.
didn't want to do. There's other citizenships out there, so that averages about 4 to 5 months. And then there's other citizenships that out there that are like, for instance, Turkey is 250,000 US, but you get to buy a property. You got to hold on to it for about 3 years, and then you can sell it. So essentially, it could be a free citizenship
as well.
And that opens, because you want a portfolio of passports. It's really important because, like, especially nowadays, especially if you're an American. I mean,
if you're focused on traveling,
if you're focused on traveling,
we'll talk about as well. If you happen to be an American, you don't want to leave. Do you know of any reasonable options there? And then maybe if we know any other things, say for Aussies or Canadians, British, are there any other options for these guys? But start with the US guys if you know of anything there, in order to be able to keep as much of your profits.
Absolutely, because obviously the more you save, these coins have proven to be increasingly valuable over time, and not to mention just a helpful tool to have, not just for profit, but you might actually need to be using these, so you want to keep as many as you can. For the US, like we recently did an interview with a tax pro who is based in the US, and he had some great tips. You can move to a crypto tax friendly state, so you can at least limit your tax liabilities on the state level. Federal level is different. Obviously, that's going to be universal for the US. But like Wyoming, Colorado might be. I think he mentioned also Florida, because I think there's no income tax in Florida. Or no state tax. Thank you. So
Puerto Rico, I hear about that every now and then. Puerto Rico is a territory. Puerto Rico is a territory or a jurisdiction.
Yeah.
It is, but there's some stringent requirements to be a resident over there. I mean, you have to spend a lot of the year there.
That's what I mean. Like if you move there, if you're living in the US anyway.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
I'm thinking for some of the US guys, you've got the Puerto Rico as an option.
And it's a beautiful country, or beautiful island. So.
and if you are from California, if you live in California and you're planning on maybe like being a tax resident, say in Florida or whatever, you should do that soon, because they're coming out with a law that says you have to continue paying California tax rate.
That's nuts.
I'm not really quite sure. I don't have the article in front of me.
They're trying to lock him in.
Essentially trying to lock you in.
But he also had an idea, or this plan of creating an LLC for yourself as a trading company. If you do, I think like 50 to 100 trades a year, you can qualify to be a trading company. So then that way you're filing taxes and all that. But I think there's a lot of tax breaks for that. And also there's a lot of people who don't really know how to approach their taxes with crypto, because there's not a lot of clarity, again, with what's required for that. I think at this point, it's kind of like a goodwill effort if you're trying to, do it right or something. And so if you have an LLC that's a trading company specifically for cryptocurrencies, and you're using that to announce, it's like you're trying to be transparent. At the same time, you're also getting a lot of tax relief as well. So that could be something for people to look into. And again, setting that LLC up in like a tax-friendly state, which you can do. You don't have to live in that state to have an LLC in a different state. So
Gotcha. Whereas Puerto Rico was, you had to live more of the year there. For the US guys, do you know much about any other countries? I know it's probably not of an interest to you, but
with the US, it's very specific because they tax your global income. I'm not sure that Canada or Mexico does that. So maybe consider opening a bank account in a different country.
Canada is thinking about doing this.
Yeah.
Along as Australia as well. So they're considering it, especially the more in debt these countries get. The more they're going to clamp down on their taxes.
Yeah. We've actually looked into Georgia, the country in northeast.
It's kind of like that central West Asia or something. Yeah.
So they're actually they make it really easy to open a bank account, and they're, I think, crypto friendly, or at least very open to foreigners opening banking accounts. So it makes it very easy. It's
tax free if you're making income from outside of Georgia. So that's a perfect place, if you want to make money outside, throw it to that bank, boom.
Yeah, and it's with the euro, so that
you can hold a euro account, so you don't have to hold a Georgian
or Turkish lira. You don't want to be holding Turkish lira.
And
That
that's
thing
exactly,
is,
that's
Yeah.
something definitely
yeah.
to pay attention to as well. If you're doing a foreign bank account, what currency is your profits going to go into, and how,
Yeah.
I mean, all fiat currencies are going to fail eventually,
Well,
but some are definitely not doing so well.
Jurisdiction is pretty much what we're talking about when it comes to tax. And jurisdiction just means territory or country that you can say that you do a business from, or that you live in, if that's what the rules are. So for the other guys out there, like we're looking at US, we're looking at Australia, it's about understanding the jurisdictions. And I know of some friends who have left the country and moved to places like Vanuatu. It's a bit more of a difficult one because their banking system doesn't always agree with Singapore or Australia. So that's a challenge as well. But to keep as much as possible, that's pretty much what we need to look at, is jurisdiction. That's what it comes down to at the end. Who has jurisdiction over you and your time, which is essentially your money? So
Yeah.
that's the important one to look at. That's pretty much that massive point there. And the options are, you either leave your jurisdiction to get to a new jurisdiction that's more friendly to you, or you stay and do the best you can in your own jurisdiction.
It'll be really interesting to see, like, because this crypto space is continuing to develop and grow and gain more popularity and attract a lot of money and investors. And so it'll be really interesting to see how even different jurisdictions in the States, in Australia and Canada, want to be crypto friendly and encourage people to go there to stimulate their own local economy, versus the other side of it, where they're just trying to clamp it down and over regulate it, really. So it's something that's going to continue to develop and change, and I think it's definitely worthwhile to keep your eye on it and to be nimble if you can.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we've got to do our best, especially with the global pandemic closing us all down and making it a little bit more difficult to move between borders. Yeah. So now that we've got that, we're looking at taxes. I'm just reading my notes. We want to understand how to use it in the real world. But basically, the most important thing is to set ourselves up properly first. If we didn't do that, now we're at the point where we've got to pay the taxes. We've talked about that, depending on which jurisdiction we're in. Real world use cases with crypto. Is it just a matter of selling out, paying your taxes, bringing the money back into your bank account, and then using it for what you want? Are there other options out there? Yeah.
I think it's always smart to pursue different options for things like passive income, or just getting as many streams of income as you can.
Sure,
so
yeah,
whether that's investing in property and then it's like a rental property, or you're going to flip houses or something, like that's always a thing. Or if you really want to continue to hedge against whatever crazy things are happening with your government and local currency, is look at precious metals maybe. And crypto, I think, is also always a good idea.
Which crypto would you look at to hedge into? We got US dollar, USDT, USDC. There's so many of them out there.
Stable coins.
Yeah. Would you do that?
Tether now has a lot of competition. There's always been a lot of mystery around the reserves of Tether, especially lately.
Sure.
And I think they're getting, investigated more and more heavily. I mean, Tether itself and all of its potential nefarious activities is an entire rabbit hole to go down.
It's crazy, yeah.
But now that there's a lot of different coins also, like they've dominated the market. I think more than half of the volume of crypto is going through Tether. So that's something. But there is now other stable coins that are chipping away at that
USDC,
at that dominance. So USDC is by Coinbase. It's listed on a bunch of different exchanges also.
Gemini.
GUSD from Gemini. There's also some XDAI is cool, or not XDAI, I'm sorry, DAI from MakerDAO is a stable coin that has an elastic supply. So it's not dependent on audited reserves of US dollar. It is an elastic supply, so it's constantly changing to maintain that stability, which I think is a really cool option, and I would love to see much more getting explored and much more options like that. There's also some gold-backed stable coins, or maybe not. It's relatively stable to Bitcoin or other cryptos. With that is also that whole idea of audits, and if they're, transparent, and if it's really there, and if you can actually redeem it for gold, and how all that works. For me, escaping this volatility, definitely looking into stable coins, because for us, we're looking to always be stacking more sats and getting a better position for the next time around. At the same time, still being able to take profits and use those for whatever we may have our sights set on.
I mean, there is something called the wealth cycle. So you want to chase the most undervalued asset, ride that to the top. So it's like a wave, and then you sell it or sell a lot of it. And then, right.
Or maybe even just your initial investment and then pick it back up. And
yes.
Take it somewhere else.
As far as Bitcoin is concerned, I mean, that's one of the coins that I'm never going to sell a large chunk of it.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to touch it. Like, it's off the market forever. In case when I get old or whatever. So, there should be a portion of people's portfolio where they're never going to touch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So regardless of if you have to, like, in
we'll
my
live
mind,
on the street before we sell.
That's what I said. In 2013, I'm like, I'm not going to sell this portion of my Bitcoin. I'll live on the streets if I have to before I sell it.
Before we renounce, legitimately, I think one of our just like you have your super high thing, like how low are you allowed to scrape before you get your Bitcoin? Yeah. We're like, we could be homeless in Hawaii. It's warm there. They have warm showers.
Warm showers and surf. Hey, why not?
I see you get free tents in Honolulu too. So
yeah,
live around the parks.
We've run the gambit of scenarios for ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're sorted. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I think we've only just scratched the surface of how to basically go from getting your profits, getting as much of that back as possible, and then what to do with it next into the wealth cycle. So I'll throw it out to the audience. Like, if you guys have other questions, let us know in the comments. Because like I said, we've just scratched the surface. Maybe we haven't gone deep enough on a particular topic that you wanted to know more about. So let us know, and we'll hopefully get Heidi and Toby back onto the channel to dive deeper into those questions. What do you think?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate having you on the channel. You guys know where to find them. I'll have a link to crypto tips in the comments or in the description down below. Don't touch anything in those comments. There are too many scammers down there. So only touch things in the description. I know, it's crazy at the moment. And look, if you found some value, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon, all that good stuff. I just want to say one last thank you very much, guys. Any last words?
No, just let's get ready.
Let's get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready for the ball. All right. Thanks again, guys, and catch you guys at the next video.